No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live from BroncoNationNews.com is presented by RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Western Collective Studios. Head down to Western Collective's locations in Garden City or downtown Boise to try some of their delicious beers, including the Horseshoe Golden Ale, the first beer to support an NIL collective. Now, here's four-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing? Happy Monday, Boise State fans. Welcome on into Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com. My name is BJ Rains. I have no clue why my camera's mirrored. I look backwards, Mike Prater. I'm going to have to figure it out. There we go. We're back in Boise. Had a fun time at the NFL draft for a couple days, and we are back to get after it and talk some Boise State football today. 6 Boise State players to this point have latched on with NFL teams, 2 via the draft, 4 via free agent tryout deals, and Mike Prater here to help us break it all down. You hear him 3 to 6 weekdays, KTIK, The Ticket. Mike Prater, happy Monday, sir.
Likewise, BJ. Likewise to you. And 6 is a pretty good number, right? I think Boise State, I don't care if it's 4-2, 2-4, 3-3, whatever the deal is. I think Boise State putting 6 players into the NFL, and we'll see how 4 of them play out, but that's a good number, right?
No doubt. Now, I do have my NFL draft hat on here, Mike Prater. I had a great time at the draft. I got the hat on here. You may be able to bribe me as well. I do have a couple souvenirs I brought back. I've got an NFL draft football right here. I've got a NFL draft mini helmet that might look good in your studio right there. So,
nice.
We'll have to see, how many columns you pump out in the next few weeks if we can. Come up
I love it.
But I was kind of debating though, Mike Prater. Do I go with the NFL draft hat? Or do I go with the St. Louis Blues hat after tying the series here 2-2? Nice. We chased Connor Hellebuck twice in 2 games.
Yeah, but Connor Hellebuck is a bad playoff goalie. We know that, but that's a good win. And you and I could sit here and talk about the hockey playoffs for another 45 minutes. And the Blues are battling. My Golden Knights are battling. So far the playoffs, I watched the overtime with Edmonton and LA last night, deep into the night. So I'm a little groggy today because of hockey. So it's a good time of the year. It's a really good time of the year.
It is. And love. We were down 2-0. We President's Trophy now 2-2. So yeah, I know nobody else cares on here, but I'd love to talk. I think we should just start. I'll do a baseball show with Bob. I'll do a football show with Johnny or Jay. I'll do a hockey show with you. We can just expand this thing out maybe. But
I love it.
Blue Turf says nice coverage of the draft. Thank you to Blue Turf for that. It was a fun couple days. Wasn't able to host the show Friday, but Jay and Johnny and Brad Bedell did a good job hosting for me. But I am back and excited. It was a fun couple days. Deborah saying good morning, BJ and Mike. Thanks for the coverage of the draft. Enjoyed it immensely. And I will say this: it was a fun time up there, Mike. But if you were just a fan of, say, the Steelers or the Raiders or the Chiefs, like, I don't really get why you would fly all the way to where the draft is just to stand in the parking lot and be way too far away to hear what's going on. And I mean, I had seen on Twitter that Genty was going to the Raiders, so I ran out to try to find some Raider fans for a photo, and I was basically telling them they were picking Genty. They had no idea, and it had been like 5 minutes ago. It had already been, just said publicly they were going to take him. If you live in that city where the draft is, it's really cool. It was an awesome atmosphere in the parking lot, the tailgating. It was, the concerts, and I mean, it was the beer gardens, and it was a lot. It was cool. They had the Super Bowl rings and the trophies, and kids could go run a 40, and it was a cool interactive type thing. But if you're just like a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, I would think you'd get much more value watching it on your TV at home. But it was a cool thing, and I believe it's going to Pittsburgh next year, right?
I believe that is correct, and they'll have some fun with that in downtown Pittsburgh, which is I've never been to Pittsburgh, believe it or not. I've been a fan of the Steelers since the 1970s, but I've never been to Pittsburgh. But I know the downtown area is really beautiful, and that'll be pretty historic as well. And I'm with you. For the most part, the NFL draft is a television event, and there's not even anything close to it. But I'd like to go once just to kind of wander around. Johnny and I threatened to go to Vegas a couple of years ago, and that was a complete total madhouse. And that would have been kind of fun just for the party and some of the things that you talked about. But it's definitely much more much more entertaining for guys like me to sit home on my couch and my fat ass and watch it on television. But really cool job by you, and I was totally engaged with all your coverage, and you did a fantastic job. So nicely done, not only with the investment, and thank you to the sponsors, but just the hard work you put in. Those things aren't easy. That's a logistical nightmare, and it looked good from this end. So nicely done, BJ.
I tried to explain to people just, how far away the walking was and how to get out there, and you don't want to miss the press conference and all this, and try to find Spencer Danielson. And that's the perfect phrase, logistical nightmare. It was 205,000 people, I think they said on Thursday night, that were there, and I'm trying to make my way through around 250,000 people and find Jeremiah Dickey and find Spencer Danielson. And I will say this: the cool part was, so Ashton gets drafted, and the draft's still going on, and they do this car wash of media stuff where it takes over an hour for the prospect to actually get back to like the press conference room for the media. And so I met up with, first of all, I asked Spencer if I get a couple minutes with him after the selection as well, before they headed out, just to kind of get his thoughts on the night and what it was like being in the green room and all that good stuff. And he's like, yeah, sure. No problem. So, he gets picked, and I sent him a text or where you at, or maybe I called him, where you at, ready for the interview, whatever. And I said, I'm in the media room or something. So, I texted him because he said, we're doing pictures or something. I'll find you. So I'm in the media room, big press conference room, just typing or whatever. And I get a call, and he's like, oh, there you are. And here's Spencer Danielson just walking through the media room. He got in somehow with his pass, and he comes back there, and we do the interview. And he's like, oh, Ashton's coming in here pretty soon. I'm like, yeah, he should be. He's like, oh, I'll wait for him. And it takes like 45 minutes, and literally like 1% of the people in the room know who he is to begin with. And that's nothing against him. They're NFL people, whatever. But he's just sitting at a table for 45 minutes, and he's talking to people, joking, asking anybody that walks by, and he's just hanging out, nothing to do, no care in the world. He just had the number 6 pick in the draft. He's waiting for him to come in, and I had a good conversation with him. He was kind of trapped in there, so I had all kinds of – I felt like Mike Prater just grilling him with stuff there for 45 minutes. But
nice.
He was just like a kid in a candy store, kind of, but he was just so relaxed because he just saw Genty go. He just got to sit in the green room for the draft, and he has nothing to do. The plane's not leaving yet, and he just sat there almost with his feet propped up, just kind of soaking it all in there, waiting for Ashton to come in. And then he had the moment where he I had on Twitter, I think, where they embraced and hugged, and what a surreal experience that must have been. He's a 37, 38-year-old head coach or whatever, 36. I don't even know how old he is. He's younger than me. I know that. And here he is, gets to the playoff his first year and everything. And then there he is sitting in the green room at the NFL draft with the number 6 pick. I mean, he was at the Heisman ceremony. Now he's here. I mean, it's been we talk about Ashton Genty, and you mentioned Boise State and the kind of historic year they've had. And obviously Spencer's been right in the middle of that, but it's been a heck of a year for him.
Spencer Danielson has done more in 2 years, 2.5 years, 1.5 years, whatever it is. It's like 1.5 seasons so far than a lot of coaches have done in 20 years, 30 years. I mean, there's coaches that have had entire careers, and they've certainly never gone to the NFL draft and had a top 10 pick. They've never gone to the postseason playoff. They've never gone to the Heisman Trophy, and he's checked all these boxes. I mean, Spencer Danielson is either really, really blessed, really, really good, or he's selling his soul. Probably not the latter. Definitely the first two. It's a combination of everything. And what a guy that really deserves it and just kind of soaks it in and does it all the right way. And just I think it's really cool for him to be able to do this. And he's been a young football guy for his entire life. And he just loves this game. He's obsessed by this game. It's very passionate for him. And for him to have these moments, it's absolutely spectacular. So he'll get into the grind of the summer and he'll get into the grind of the fall. Life without Dirk Cutter, life without Ashton Genty, and certainly life without Ahmed Hassan is going to be different for him. But what a great start and what a cool moment for that guy.
Yeah, I just thought he's always in the spotlight and always the center of attention, all this stuff. I just thought it was, I don't know, I just noticed that and it stuck with me. He just kind of was behind the spotlight in the media room by himself, sitting at a table, just kind of taking a deep breath, soaking it all in. Like you said, a moment where he's not having to deal with recruiting and everything else. And he just left the green room. And then I said something about, because they were flying right back privately after that, and they were going to get back at like 2 something in the morning. And he's like, yeah, we got 7 a.m. staff meeting tomorrow. And then I got the Bronco Stampede on Friday that night in Idaho Falls and Saturday in Twin Falls, I believe. So, I mean, there was, it wasn't like he was going back to take the rest of the weekend off, but it was, I'm sure like I said, we always see him whenever we see him, Mike, it's usually just in this stressful, okay, start the press conference. Oh, do this. And it was just kind of nice to see him kind of in a different light for a few minutes there and soak in what has been just a surreal year. And we saw on Saturday, he was at the Stampede in Twin Falls, I believe, meeting with some people when Ahmed Hassanin got drafted. Kudos to Jay Tust and a lot of others that had I know Boise State had a video. I know Jay was over there. First of all, he goes to the Detroit Lions, 6th round, and then he gets engaged right after that. So heck of a day for Ahmed Hassanin. And when you talk about Dan Campbell and his passion and Ahmed Hassanin and his passion, and I'm not going to lie and say I know the depth chart 100% with the Detroit Lions, Mike, but it just seems on the surface that's a pretty good fit for Ahmed Hassanin. Pretty cool, man. The whole story, him being the first player from Egypt drafted and everything, and everybody in Boise knows his story. But to see the emotion on his face and with his brother right there with his arm around him when the pick came, and again, you can go to Jay Tust's Twitter feed and stuff. He was all over that on Saturday. That was a pretty, for as cool as Ashton Genty was, 6th overall, walking across the stage, we all knew that was happening, Mike. I thought the Ahmed Hassanin scene on Saturday was just really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was too. And one more thing on Spencer Danielson and then the weekend. It's, we talked about all the great highs that he's experienced as a head football coach so far. It takes a little humbling, and he's the kind of guy that understands this. And I'm glad he got to spend the weekend in Idaho Falls and Twin Falls. That'll bring you back down to earth real fast when you got to get in that car and drive to Idaho Falls. You got to get, or maybe I don't think that they flew, but they probably drove over there. And a weekend in Twin Falls and a weekend in Idaho Falls aren't the greatest, sexiest things, but again, yeah, really cool weekend for everybody. We're going to dive into the 4 free agent guys and certainly talk about Ahmed and his story. What a wonderful story for Ahmed. And that guy went from a local star to a national star, and just trying to be relevant. I mean, making yourself known, throwing out the comments like, "Coach, I will die for you." And I thought that was a really powerful comment that I think we should talk about a little bit here. We're going to talk about that on Idaho Sports Talk. Sometimes that's a little bit of a red flag for some fans. There was some social media chatter out there saying, "Really, you're going to die?" Well, we all know the passion that Ahmed Hassanin has, and that's a great matchup with Dan Campbell. And then just getting married afterwards, that was a really, really cool moment. So what a classy dude, and I cannot wait to see how his career develops.
Yeah, I mean, we all thought he was going to get picked, but there was no guarantee. I mean, there were some mock drafts and things that did not have Ahmed Hassanin listed on there. So, I mean, it was not a foregone conclusion, 100% lock. And as we've talked about, Mike, last week, I mean, there's the Boise State slide late in the draft happens pretty much every year with somebody. So there was no guarantee he was getting drafted. And once you get into the 6th round, there was a little doubt creeping in my mind. It was like, okay, is this going to happen or not? I really hope it does. And I'm coaching Little League Baseball and trying to check my phone and see what's going on. And it was a little nerve-wracking there, I'm sure. And we'll talk to Jay tomorrow, who was at the draft party, and kind of what that was like. But you see a lot of his family, a lot of his teammates were at that party. And I'm sure as the 6th round starts rolling around, like did we just bring all these people over here and this may not happen? Like, I don't know. But then that call comes in and it's, and then Dan Campbell's on the phone with them. And yeah, I don't know if that was something that he had planned to say or it just kind of came out or what. But when he certainly said that and that made it all over. And then I saw from a lot of the beat reporters and folks from the press briefing that he did over the phone or Zoom or whatever it was, a short time after that, they were saying he was their favorite draft pick in a long time. Great quote machine. I mean, he certainly got off to a nice start, I guess, in that first day or two.
Yeah, just make yourself relevant, make yourself known, and make it difficult. That's your number one job right now. It's not really necessarily to make this football team, but it's to make these coaches' choices really, really difficult in terms of the way you can play football. And I'm with you. I couldn't sit here and break down their depth chart and where he's going to fit X's and O's wise, but you know that he's going to push this all the way to the end. I assume he's going to make that roster and grow over the next couple of years, and then we'll see how he develops. I think his ceiling is still really high because he's only been playing football for 5-6 years. And but yeah, just make it really difficult. Become a popular story, become a fan favorite, become a coach's favorite. And he's going to check all those boxes. There's no doubt about that. And that's a perfect start. Sometimes as a 6th rounder or 7th rounder, late Saturday guy, you can kind of get lost in the shuffle of these draft picks. And he did not get lost in the shuffle. He was very, very relevant and very, very high profile all weekend long. And that was a really, really good deal for Ahmed Hassan. So great start for his NFL career, no doubt about it.
I don't know if this says more about you or me, Mike, but the last 5 comments on the chat here have all been from females. That
means either.
We should clarify this, though. I think you said married. They did just get engaged, just to be clear for folks who didn't see it.
Did I say married? Yeah.
He proposed, popped down. Don't think they actually had the wedding ceremony there. I'm sure Spencer Danielson will be the first call to officiate that whenever.
That would be weird. That would be weird. So thank you.
Ashley is wondering if I'm taking you to the draft next year in Pittsburgh. I guess it depends if Cage Casey can get high enough to be there or not, Mike.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, Cage Casey, I know that a lot of people already kind of and Johnny and I did a quick little segment last week in terms of the potential NFL guys on this team. It could be 1, 2, or we'll see how it plays out. But let's put that on the list. I think that's a hell of a question. I like that question.
We take you to media days. We can go to the draft, I guess, too, and stuff. Tournament,
I'll take you. I'll buy you a Permini Brothers sandwich.
That's probably a topic for maybe next Monday as we kind of transition for off-season stuff. I know you guys will be all over that this week. You said you already were, obviously, too, but kind of who's next? And obviously, Jaden Virgin Morgan will be on that group. Ty Benefield. Some other guys potentially. But all right, Hassanin goes to the Lions. I think it's a great fit. I'm super excited for him and can't wait to follow that. But 4 other guys did land free agent deals. I want to touch on their future, Mike, and what we think of that in just a second. I do want to thank RoePaint.com, our title sponsor, ROEPaint.com, our title sponsor, Andy Rowe and Company. All your painting needs, make sure you hit up our title sponsor, whether it's those concrete coatings, interior, exterior painting at RoePaint.com. Hey, Taco Bell, another big supporter here. I know they're a big supporter down there at KTIK as well. TacoBellWorks.com, the SON Management Group, the Nicolason family. Food is great, and they're also hiring as well. So if you need a job, make sure Treasure Valley Taco Bell location. Visit them today or check out TacoBellWorks.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner with the easiest, that mobile e-branch online banking right there on your smartphone. Idaho Central Credit Union. Check them out online at Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Hey, you can get that 99-cent coffee at Jackson's anytime, day or night. 2 hot dogs and a kettle chips as well for $5, that $5 meal deal. But again, 99-cent coffee, day or night from our friends at Jackson's. And I believe we're going to have another edition of the Riley and Ridge show potentially this week and potentially with a pretty good guest. So we're working on that. They're going to try to do that maybe twice a month here in the offseason, still get some former players on and stuff and tell some stories. So if you missed Ahmed Hassanin, he came on right before the draft and actually had the Philadelphia Eagles calling him in the middle of the draft, in the middle of the show. But Jackson's, appreciate them online, all the various stores. Check them out at Jackson's. Hey, Snake River Pool and Spa, Patio and Game, the Spa Team.com. TheSpaTeam.com, locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. They've been around since 1978. They're part of the Boise State home team, whether it's a sauna, whether it's a spa, maybe a pool table. You can check it out online at TheSpaTeam.com. And our friends at Lithia Ford of Boise, LithiaFordBoise.com. They got some great deals right now. Speaking of Cage Casey, they got him in a nice pickup truck there at Lithia Ford. Roger Carrion, some other players as well. One of the biggest supporters of Boise State Athletics and BNN here. So Lithia Ford of Boise, make sure you check them out online at LithiaFordBoise.com. All right, I do want to talk Genty. Maybe we'll save that for the last little bit. We got more news of the day here, obviously, in terms of the guys that signed over the weekend, Mike, and we talked, obviously, Friday all day about Genty, so maybe I'll get your thoughts on him and your column on Travis Hunter as we kind of wrap up the show. But right, which is a great column, and I hope folks go read it, and we'll get to that here in about 10 minutes. But first of all, I think, 4 guys signed free agent deals. Ben Dooley, Cam Camper, and Tubner were the 3 on Saturday. We find out about Shea Oladipo on Sunday. It's really hard to read the tea leaves on this in terms of what's a tryout, what's a free agent deal. Even a free agent deal, Mike, means nothing if the next day they can still cut you if they find somebody, better for your spot. But overall, we did find out Oladipo to the Dolphins yesterday. Still trying to figure out exactly if that is a tryout or a mini camp or what. But then the 3 on Saturday, as I said, Ben Dooley going to the Rams seems, at least on paper, to be the most secure for now, I guess, in terms of getting a free agent deal there. Tubner reuniting with Chuck Pagano there, I guess, so to speak. That looks like more of a tryout mini camp offer. Still working on Cam Camper. I think his was a free agent deal as well. But Camper did go to the Jaguars, by the way. Maybe he can beat out Travis Hunter for wide receiver 1 there. Ben Dooley was to the Rams. I don't know if I mentioned the Rams or not. And then I mentioned Tubner goes to the Ravens. Oladipo's yesterday was with the Miami Dolphins. I guess we can get on into these individually, but just of those 4, what kind of stands out to you?
Well, so this is the 6 that we thought, so that's kind of cool that all 6 players that we thought had a chance to get to the NFL were going to get a shot. And it's a various degree of, as you said, it looks like indeed Tubner is just kind of a rookie. And that might be a Pagano thing. Pagano might, a senior defensive analyst with the Ravens now might be saying, dude, I watched this guy practice for 3, 4, 5 months, and he's a gamer. And you give this guy a shot. He's going to prove everybody wrong. And that's kind of Alexander Tubner's MO. So I think that's a pretty cool landing spot for him. I wasn't sure if he was going to get a spot. And sometimes it just takes one team. Well, definitely it just takes one team. And in this particular case, I'm going to guess that Chuck Pagano thought, I've seen enough of this guy. He's worth a tryout. Let's bring him in and see what happens. We're talking basically a couple of days of food and put him up in a hotel and a cheap plane flight. And let's see if he can stick, and we'll give him a free agent offer. So that's really cool for Tubes. And the other 3 for sure looks like it might be free agent deals, and maybe dive into some OTAs, some rookie mini camps, and some free agent stuff over the offseason. So I'm glad everybody's getting their chance. 6 is a good number. That's what we opened up the show with. I think 6 is a good number. If Spencer Danielson can put 4 to 6 players in the NFL every single year, or at least this time of year, and hopefully a couple of them stick, and we know for sure that a couple of them are going to stick this time, I think that's a great sign for this program. Boise State football has kind of gone through some lulls when it comes to NFL production. Not this year. I think 6 is a spectacular number.
And Ben Dooley was a guy that Brad Bedell's really been pushing. He was actually his last kind of link to this roster. He recruited, Ben Dooley when he was here the first time as offensive line coach at Boise State before he left for Auburn. And he has said for a while that he thinks Ben Dooley is an NFL offensive lineman. I believe he had 38 starts, Mike Prater, over his career. Mostly played guard, played some tackle, can move around a lot. Obviously had the 6th year of college, which, I guess for a lineman, you could look at 2 different ways there. But, was a first team all Mountain West guy this year for the Mountain West, also for Phil Steele. Obviously, was a part of a heck of a running game here at Boise State. But Ben Dooley is going to be an intriguing prospect for me to follow here.
Absolutely. And we had a chance to catch up with him at Pro Day. I thought he had a really nice Pro Day, and he had a really good attitude toward it all. He looked good. He was diving in hard, man. He'd been working hard for 3-4 months to prepare for this moment, and he's definitely going to get a chance. And again, I'll break down. We'll spend some more time. I know you will too, breaking down depth charts and looking at X's and O's. But that doesn't really matter at this point. Every NFL roster has 90 players, and it's just one big giant free for all. And you're going to spend the next 3 months trying to figure that out and whittle that sucker down to 53. And I think a guy like Ben Dooley is going to take it all the way to the very end. And we'll see if he's in July and August, if he's part of this football team. But I love the preparation that he's had. I loved his approach when he showed up and did some interviews after Pro Day, after a spectacular Pro Day for a big old guy like that. And what a cool story for Ben Dooley to go out there and get that chance.
What do you make of Shea Oladipo? I mean, interesting guy. They put him at some different spots, obviously, at Boise State. I think in his last game against Penn State, had like 6 tackles, had a nice game to finish up, and always made plays. I don't want to say not the biggest guy. I mean, he's 5'11", 205. I mean, it's not like he's a twig out there, but was a unique guy that they moved around. Another guy that maybe gets his foot in the door and does something. I hope he does. I always enjoyed seeing his parents on the road, and he was always a respectful guy that we enjoyed talking to and made plays. Again, looks like a tryout there where we think with the Miami Dolphins. But what can a guy, and he was special teams I know is a big thing for him as well. But what do you think a guy like Shea Oladipo can do to try to keep his foot there in the door there with the Dolphins?
I thought he was the third guy that had a chance to get drafted. I really did. I mean, the first 2 were pretty obvious, and then you could sit and debate between like Shea or Oladipo. I didn't really think Tubner or Camper were going to be draftable guys, but I definitely thought Shea, we talked about it a lot at Idaho Sports Talk. I thought Shea had a chance to be a 3rd draft pick, and I would not have been surprised. I mean, look at his size is decent. He is a great playmaker. He's a special team star. He's got elite speed, and that's always going to capture your attention. So I thought that there was a chance. I really want to see Shea Oladipo get a chance to do something in the NFL because he's committed. He does a great job with his body in terms of and his mind, trying to stay focused and get ready. I think he really understands the big picture and the business of football, and he's a hell of a player and a hell of a dude. And so I thought he had a chance to get drafted. He didn't. He was the last guy that, as far as we could tell, that got a deal. So I don't know what that means and how that works out and the logistics of that kind of stuff. But I love Shea Oladipo, and I think he's got a chance. I cannot wait to see if it works out.
So those are the positive ones. There were also some, I don't say negative, but unfortunately some guys that haven't signed yet to this point. I want to talk about Jonah Dalmas for a second because, Mike, there was a time a couple years ago where he was apparently seriously considering leaving school early to go to the NFL draft. Whether or not he would have got drafted, whether or not he would have latched for the team or not, who knows? It wasn't like he was a surefire, draft pick a couple years ago, but he'd had a couple nice seasons, was eligible. And I remember that it was a lot tougher, closer decision than maybe fans realized a couple of years ago. He came back again last year. Jonah Dalmas, 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, whenever, you just go back in time, you never probably would have thought we'd be on the Monday morning following the draft, and he wouldn't even have a tryout yet. I mean, usually with kickers, you'd think they'd bring one in for a mini camp. I still think that could happen at some point, but I mean, it's hard in the NFL. I mean, we all thought Tyler Rasa was just a great rock star kicker, and he had to go to the XFL and everything else and just could not get a chance in the NFL. It's really, really tough. But for Jonah Dalmas to not even at this point have a tryout, given where his career was a couple years ago, that's just really disappointing for everybody involved.
100%, including him. And like you said, if he would have come out the previous year, he would have been fine. He got a combine invite after the 2023 season. So he came back, and there was talk that he wasn't coming back. People reported that he wasn't coming back, that he was diving into the NFL. And he should never, ever, ever, ever be criticized for coming back and being a loyal football player. And I know you weren't going there by any means, but he's probably going to play second doubts in his mind and dance around in his head for the rest of his life about what if, because that's just human nature. But I think it's so cool, so stinking cool that he came back for another year, and it didn't work out very well for him, whether it was scheme, whether it was coaching, whether it was his commitment to the sport, whatever it was. He just did not have the season that he had before, and that's too bad. We've always questioned his leg strength, but I think he's done a hell of a job getting that up. His accuracy has been rock star until this past year. That Fiesta Bowl probably wasn't a good last impression. If that's your last chance to make it an impression, that certainly didn't work out well in his favor. But he told us on Pro Day that he's going to grind. He's going to do the Tyler Rasa thing. He's going to go 2-3 years and kind of work his way through this thing. As kickers go, you could probably get a pickup invite in May, June, July. Who knows how that kind of works? Bring him in for a couple of tryouts. So I don't think that there's any lost hope that he's got an NFL chance, but we all know, even as a kicker, even if he's a spectacular kicker, there's 3 to 5 openings every single year. That's a tough road, even if you came off of an A+ season. He didn't come off of an A+ season. It's going to make it a little bit more tougher, but hey, fingers crossed, and hopefully he gets at least a chance.
Joining Dalmas, not getting anything to this point, Herbert Gums, Cooper Jones, Sheldon Newton, Rodney Robinson, Taryn Shive, and Tavion Woodard. Any chance any of those guys you think getting something?
I didn't think those guys had much of a chance. Maybe Gums, a rookie mini camp tryout, just because he's a big beast there in the middle, but kind of quiet, doesn't really kind of present himself. I like the way he plays football, but I'm not sure if that's going to stand out for the NFL guys. Outside of Dalmas and maybe Gums, I just didn't see those other guys with much of a chance whatsoever. Shai's got a boomer of a leg. I mean, but I don't know about his accuracy, but he's got a big old fat strong leg. So
yeah,
that's not enough to get you into the NFL. So I personally think, as much as I wish Jonah Dalmas does get a chance, and hopefully he still does, I think the NFL got it right with Boise State this year.
Now, I know you know this, but Candid Trader says, come on now, Twin Falls is beautiful. I'm sure Coach loves coming here.
I love Twin Falls. I'll never say anything bad about Twin Falls. Twin Falls is a great place to grow up, and Twin Falls is a great place to leave. So, I'm glad he spent a weekend there. I saw the crowd. It looked like Spencer Danielson had a pretty good little crowd for folks that are in Twin Falls. I'm glad to see Boise State representing in the Big Magic Valley. That's pretty cool.
Oliver Smith wondering, while we're taking random questions here, what'd you make of the prank call with Shedeur Sanders?
I thought that was BS. And you know, I'm all about karma. And so a lot of the stuff that Shedeur Sanders had to endure the last 2 or 3 or 4 days is on him. And I'm not going to sit here and beat up a young kid because his dream didn't get realized. But the self-responsibility is on him in many, 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 many cases. And so I don't feel sorry for him, but that was a Bush League move. I can't imagine what that dad, the coach with the Falcons and his son and everything that they went through over the last couple of days. That's just a kid being a stupid kid, and he got busted for it, and he's probably going to pay for that stupid act for the rest of his life. And it's not criminal, but it's just stupid, and it'll carry with him. So a little bit of karma. I mean, Shedeur didn't deserve that kind of a karma, but a lot of stuff that he had over the weekend, I'm not feeling sorry for that dude.
Yeah. BSU Bill says people are soft. Was it wrong? Sure, but let's not act like this was some disgusting act. Shedeur asked for it. Guy is a total cocky piece of what. I will say that maybe this is the wrong place to put this, but I do feel a little bad for the guy. I think his dad, I think ESPN, I think everything else just totally hyped this guy up to be way more than he is. And is that on him? Sure. Is he entitled? Does he had everything handed to him? Yes. Did he handle the pre-draft process terribly? Yes. And so a lot of it is, you don't feel sorry for the guy, I get it. But a small portion of me, maybe I'm just a nice guy at heart. I do think that he kind of had no chance because he was overhyped, and his dad retiring his number at the spring game. I just feel a little sorry for the guy deep down inside, that I do think that he was kind of set up for failure here.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. But you can you can take control of that. You can have some self-responsibility and some self-awareness. And I'm really big on self-awareness, and his self-awareness meter is down to 0 right now. So, I don't know. I was talking to some friends yesterday, and it's like, oh, he'll be humbled by this. I go, really? I mean, a guy that's been doing this for 22 years or however old he is going to be humbled by 2 days. And I don't see that. I mean, those kinds of, you saw the dance when he got drafted. That was so choreographed, so fake, so superficial. Even that little dance amongst the family, because, I don't know if it was Dion or some mom or somebody else who came in and said, all right, when you get picked, make it look good. Make it look like you're happy. It was so fake and just so, it really drove me crazy. Everything about this weekend, again, I'm not going to publicly go out there and beat up on a kid, but everything about this weekend, I didn't enjoy, but I kind of enjoyed it a little bit outside of the prank phone call. That was Bush League.
It's Keaton saying, turns out taking 20-yard sacks in order to keep your high completion percentage didn't fool NFL scouts after all.
Yeah, no, I'd be. I don't want to say I'd be shocked if he made the roster, but I'd be surprised if he made the roster.
Dylan Gabriel, they already took him in the 3rd round. I mean, that's an interesting. That was interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if either one of those guys are going to make that roster. Dylan Gabriel doesn't strike me much as an NFL guy either. But
Mel Kiper taking shrapnel here in the chat. Mel Kiper needs to be fired. He was pathetic all draft. Every year, I guess you get these guys, have their guys, and you have your NFL Network, ESPN. I mean, there's always one guy that falls, and scouts want to rip on, and or guys on TV want to say what should have been higher or lower or whatever. But certainly the Shedeur Sanders thing. I mean, I believe, Mike, again, I was in the at the draft, not watching, but I'm getting texts from my wife and things, and people. I believe before Cam Ward was even picked number 1, at least one of the networks, maybe ESPN, like while the Tennessee Titans were on the clock, were trying to debate Cam Ward versus Shedeur Sanders. I believe that was ESPN's draft coverage. Somebody can tell me if I'm wrong, but my wife was texting me saying they're talking about Shedeur Sanders, at the number 1 pick while they're on the clock, and then he goes 5th round. So I mean, like I said, and somebody said maybe it's because Deion is friends with all. I asked somebody, I said, how did, if this was so obvious amongst all the teams that nobody was touching him, that early in the draft, like how did it not get public until the day before the draft when that one anonymous guy finally came out, and then all the draft numbers plummeted, the odds. But I said, how is this quiet and this private for this long? And then somebody told me, well, Deion worked for these networks. He's got friends. They didn't want to do this to him. And maybe that's ends up being what it was. But it was crazy how it went from lock first round, maybe lock top 10, Giants at number 3 to not even day 2. I mean, it was the fall. There's been some big falls in the draft, Mike Prater. That's got to be one of the bigger ones.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. But this is on the media. This is 100% on the media, and 100% by your theory in terms of, guys like Mel Kiper. And come on, by the way, one of my pet peeves now is somebody that has a bad day at work, and then there's a whole bunch of idiot knuckleheads out there. He should be fired. He should be fired. Are you kidding me? ESPN should give him a raise. Look at all the headlines and look at all the attention. And it doesn't always have to be negative or positive attention. He made ESPN relevant. Now I switched my channel on Thursday night from ESPN to the NFL Network because I couldn't stand it anymore. So there is a ramification there, and I get it. But to sit here and scream that a dude should be fired because you're a fat dude sitting on your couch at home, come on, man. Mel Kiper was just doing his job. He was doing it poorly, but he was also helping ESPN create all kinds of headlines. And it's all about personal relationships. All these guys have personal relationships with Prime, and everybody's afraid of Prime. Nobody wants to get into the wrath of Prime because not only will Deion call you out, he won't put you in your inner circle, and everybody wants to be in Prime's inner circle, apparently. So I get it. We all have personal relationships. I know you get criticized for building a personal relationship with Leon, and it happens in this business all the time. Even I have personal relationships that I try to protect, and I don't say certain things. Now, I'm not Mel Kiper on national TV making $1 million a year, and he went way, 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 way overboard. But it's ridiculous that the reality didn't match the hype, and I get the conversation. I think it's a spectacular conversation, and it made this weekend's draft way more entertaining than anything else. But don't call for a guy to get fired. He was perfectly fine, and I think this is a lesson in all. I mean, sometimes journalists are human beings, and we have personal relationships, and it does impact what we do and how we say it.
Well, that's why Mike Prater wants a raise. People want him fired every day from this show. So.
Exactly. Maybe that's just a soft spot for me because people have been trying to get me fired for 30 years, and I'm still here.
Oh, man. Well, speaking of Prime, speaking of Travis Hunter, you had a great column on him and Ashton Genty. Let's get into that here as we wrap up the show. But first, you're watching a free show here on social media thanks to our great sponsors. So I want to make sure we get a chance to thank them real quick. The Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. Online, theblueandorangestore.com. You can order anywhere in the world. If you're in the Boise area, just go to the Boise Town Square Mall, second floor next to Pro Image. They got some great deals. The clearance rack there in the front of the store is the best value in town. The Blue and Orange Store. We joke about it, but Travis Hawks is largely responsible for Mike Prater being on these shows and writing columns. So we appreciate Travis Hawks and the Blue and Orange Store online at theblueandorangestore.com. Hey, Matt Bauscher, happy 40th, I believe, to Matt Bauscher. He crossed over, I believe. Matt Bauscher Real Estate, #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher, and over the weekend celebrated the big 4-0 for Matt Bauscher. So happy birthday, Matt Bauscher. And again, appreciate him for his friendship, for his support. And he does a tremendous job. The stats prove it. It's, he's #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, you can go with Matt and his team at BauscherRealEstate.com, and you will not be disappointed. You also won't be disappointed if you go grocery shopping at Ridley's Family Markets. ShopRidleys.com. You can download that Skip app, get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. But locations across the Treasure Valley, the Magic Valley, other surrounding areas, surrounding states. Love that McCall location. That's going to be a big one here as you get into the camping season and lake season, everything up there at McCall. Ridley's Family Markets online, shopridleys.com. Hey, if you're looking for a job, how about the trucking industry? Maybe you haven't thought of it before, but it's booming right now. Transcomservice.com can help you with the paperwork, all the overweight, DOT, everything you need. If you've ever thought about the trucking industry, they can help you get going. It's a local company in the Treasure Valley helping folks all over the world. Online, transcomservice.com. All right, Mike Prater, I am back from the draft. I have no work trips for 2 months. I can finally lock in on my eating here and my working out and getting in football shape here for the season and be in the best shape of my life come fall camp like everybody else says they are. LeanFeastMeridian.com is going to help me do it. 10,000 plus combinations, steak, shrimp, chicken, fish. They're feeding the football team, the basketball team. They can feed you as well. The convenience of it, just popping it in the microwave. In 2 minutes, you're eating just a great, healthy, delicious, filling lunch. LeanFeastMeridian.com. And if you want to leave us a voicemail, speakpipe.com/BNN, speakpipe.com/BNN. Leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on an upcoming show, and it's brought to you by Signature Roofing, online at mysignatureroofing.com. Whether it's a re-roof, a repair, an estimate, an inspection, they got you covered. All your roofing needs online, mysignatureroofing.com. And just great people at Signature Roofing. We appreciate them. They're going to take over as a sponsor for the RJ Keene show, which will take over for the Tyson Degenhardt show next year. So we're looking forward to that here on BNN. Prater, great column. Ashton Genty, Travis Hunter. I know here in Boise, obviously that was I don't know about nationally, at least here in the Treasure Valley all season long, there were, Boise State fans, rooting against Travis Hunter and mad at him when he'd do something or when it would look like, they whether stat padding, in the fourth quarter or whatever it was, obviously because of the Heisman race was a big deal there. But now Ashton Genty and Travis Hunter will continue this rivalry into the NFL. Two of the young stars, finished 1-2 in the Heisman, both go in the top 6 of the draft. You had a tremendous article, column, BroncoNationNews.com. Folks can go read that. But obviously they're going to meet in Las Vegas this year, and that's probably going to be can't-miss television. But despite, as you said, both teams not exactly being, playoff caliber teams right now. But two stars, two, guys that handle it different ways, and should be fun to watch their careers here in the NFL.
BG, I can't tell you how I'm excited about this rivalry, and it's a rivalry, and maybe people here in Boise don't want it to be a rivalry because it's all about Ashton Genty, and I get that, but every rivalry needs a good foil, and Travis Hunter's the perfect one. I happen to like Travis Hunter probably more than your average Boisean. He's really not my style, but I like what he does, and he got beat up a lot for snap counts. That's not really his fault. He's just going out and playing football, and he's pretty damn good at playing football on both sides of the ball. I'm not going to sit here and judge Heisman Trophy, although you know that I voted for Ashton Genty. I put Travis Hunter third, but at the Heisman Trophy, obviously Ashton Genty was a little bit upstaged by Travis Hunter. At the NFL draft, a little bit upstaged by Travis Hunter. And now we get to go into the NFL and see what happens. I would suspect that Travis Hunter is not going to have anywhere near the kind of career that Ashton Genty has, but you never know. It's the NFL. I mean, Travis Hunter could end up in the Hall of Fame, and Ashton Genty could be done in a year. That's the NFL, and that's how it works. I don't think it's going to be that way. I hope these dudes are in the same NFL camp and doing the rivalry thing for the next 10 to 12 years because I think it's really cool. Two different guys, two different styles of football, two different kinds of backgrounds. I'm here for it, man. Bring on this rivalry. I think it's going to be spectacular. I think it's going to be fun, and I think people here should embrace it because it's good versus bad, bad versus good. And I can't wait to see. On May 14th, we'll find out when these two play. As you said, they do play in Vegas. The schedule releases May 14th. I hope it's an early season game when these teams are like 0-2 or 1-3 or whatever it is, so there can be some kind of irrelevance. And hopefully it's a Thursday night game, maybe a Sunday afternoon game, maybe a Monday night football game. But that's going to be spectacular to watch, and I cannot wait because Ashton Genty is going to get his payback on that first collision. Can you imagine Ashton Genty in the A-gap running straight up the gut and just colliding with Travis Hunter? That's the play that Boise State football fans are here for.
Yeah, BSU Bill says, can't wait for Hunter's first catch over the middle. 220-pound NFL safety cracks him.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good in that department. He's pretty good, but he's going to get beat up physically. There's no doubt about that.
You think Hunter's going to be able to play both ways?
I think they're going to try. I mean, they're definitely going to try. And I'm not smart enough to know that if he's going to be better wide receiver, a better defensive back, absolutely they're going to try. I would assume that he is going to play wide receiver as much as possible, and then they're going to create packages for him. I can't see him being a full-time defensive guy dabbling on offense. I think it's going to be more full-time offense dabbling on defense, but I don't know. I could be 1,000% wrong there, but yeah. Travis Hunter's a good football player, guys. Just because you don't like him here in Boise, don't get jaded by that. Him winning the Heisman Trophy was fine. Snap counts doesn't have to be a stat, but the dude he's just going out and playing football, and he's really good at playing football. So I cannot wait to see what happens. I don't want him to fail. I want Ashton Jennings to truck him into Never Never Land. There's no doubt about that. But Travis Hunter playing in the NFL, I think would be fun. It'd be a great story. I hope he succeeds on both sides of the ball.
So we're going to have our top 25 kind of football countdowns. We got 25 players, 25 questions. We'll have plenty of off-season football coverage here, Mike. I mean, we're waiting for the schedule to come out in terms of changing games to Thursdays or Fridays, the television package. Obviously, the Pac-12 stuff's got to be coming at some point here. What are you, what's on your, I guess, and I'm smelling a column here, but I guess for the next 3 months, I guess, till we get to Mountain West Media Days down in July, what's on, what should be on Boise State fans' radar and just kind of the next topics and things we'll be covering and following to get us through the summer here?
Yeah, the next big wave is going to be the media rights package with the Pac-12. I don't think we're going to get another partner, that infamous eight partner for a while. But the media rights package, some people said it was going to happen in March, April, May, June, July. I mean, sometime over the next probably 60 days, we're going to find out when Boise State moves into the new Pac-12 in 2026, where you're going to be able to watch them on TV. And I think there's going to be some angst about that as well. I think the CW is going to be one of the primary carriers. And people are going to go, what? There's some advantages to being on the CW. It doesn't sound sexy right now, but there's some advantages to being on the CW. And then I think they're probably going to parcel out some games to like Fox. I don't think ESPN is going to be involved. We'll see how that plays out, but maybe a little bit to Fox and some streaming here, some streaming there, and some other options possibly. But I want to find out where Boise State's going to be playing on television in the next couple of years. And I think that's the big wave that's going to hit over the next couple months. Yeah, and I think in the short term, when and where they're playing this season, I think in terms of some games moving to Thursday or Friday, what channel, what do those look like? I mean, that's what in the near future, we're waiting on the Notre Dame game time. We know that's going to be on Peacock, but I think for a lot of fans wanting to maybe try to go up to South Bend for that one, is that going to be an afternoon game and you can get back to Chicago in the evening? Is that one where you got to stay in South Bend, for the night? So a lot to do, everyone always says, oh, what are you going to cover in the offseason? Like I say that every day something else pops up. I mean, the transfer portals for football, is it still technically open? No, it closed on Friday. So basketball closed last Tuesday or Wednesday, and then football closed on Friday. So the transfer portal is done. Nobody else can go into it, and certainly Boise State's going to dip into it football-wise. I cannot wait to –
Once you're in, just for fans that don't know, you just have to enter it, but there's still like hundreds of players that are in the portal that can still go to new schools.
Yes, absolutely. The deadline is only just to put your name in the basket. That's it. That's all, and then you just kind of sit there and wait. And coaches can go in and out of the basket for the entire 365 days. So there's no doubt that Spencer Danielson, he's probably taken a nap yesterday and waking up and grinding hard this morning. But I think in the month of May, one of his jobs is to shore up this roster a little bit. For the most part, these players are going to graduate, go through finals, and then disappear for a couple of weeks, report back to Boise in the first week of June. We're waiting for the House settlement. The House settlement's a big one, mostly in terms of, and that's the antitrust lawsuit, revenue sharing, all that stuff you've been hearing about. That's going to be another big headline in terms of roster limits and roster caps. That's the thing that Spencer Danielson, he went to spring camp with 90 players. We know that 7 players are coming in June. That's 97 players. And if this House settlement goes into effect on July 1st, well, it is going into effect on July 1st. We just have to see what the rules are. But the roster limits right now, 105 of a roster limits, and the judge in California has twice taken that case and thrown it back to the attorneys and said, I don't like this roster limit thing. They're essentially trying to get rid of walk-ons. They're essentially trying to cap how many players that a football team can have, and the judge doesn't like that. So if the judge comes back and says, I'll approve the House settlement, but I'm not going to approve roster limits, then then Spencer Danielson can go out and get 120 football players, 115 football players. That's about what he's always had, about 110, 115. So we'll be figuring that one out over the next couple of months as well.
Yeah, so KTIK, I'm sure today you'll be all over the draft, obviously wrapping up a great weekend. And then, there's always stuff to cover. So even though the draft is in the books here and there's no kind of obvious things, we do want to give a shout out to the men's and women's tennis teams real quick at Boise State. The women's team is going to the NCAA tournament. The men's team was the regular season champion. They're hoping today to get an at-large bid to the tournament. We'll be following that. And then the beach volleyball team, they won the Southland Conference, Mike Prater.
Nice.
And they will be heading to the 16-team beach volleyball NCAA tournament. They got the 14 seed. They'll play the 3 seeds, Stanford and Boise State beach volleyball. Everyone says, why do you have a beach volleyball team? Whatever. they're on ESPN2 on Friday, Mike. So, I mean, they get to be on national TV for beach volleyball on Friday, ESPN2 in the NCAA tournament. So more good national exposure for Boise State there. And good luck to those teams. We'll be following them this week as well. So, Mike, appreciate you. You and Johnny, KTIK, 3 to 6 today, 3 to 6 every day. And here at BNN, we'll continue these morning shows throughout the summer. Plenty to discuss and talk to. And we did find Mike Prater's burner account. I saw you typing down there. It says Surf City Bill says give Prater a raise. So
I don't know about that. I don't deserve a raise. You're the one that deserves a raise. Again, great coverage last week, and I know how logistically hard those things are. And I thought on this end, watching every single second of what you did, it was really, really smooth. So kudos to you and all the sponsors. It was a fantastic couple of days for Bronco Nation News, and you pulling that stuff off from Green Bay. So nicely done, my friend.
I was trying to end the show, Mike. We might have a little bit of breaking news here, though, if you got one more second on you.
Yeah.
I hate posting tweets if I haven't confirmed this, but Tyree Felder says Braxton Feely is coming back, and he says, according to his agent 10 minutes ago. I'm trying to find a tweet or where that might be. I don't know if you see anything on there on Twitter real quick or not, Mike Prater, but Braxton Feely coming back would be quite the surprise at this point.
Yeah, there it is. Braxton Feely's own account, if it is indeed his own account. The big fancy graphic. Glad to be back with the giant headline in a Boise State uniform. I'm back. It's a big one. That's a big one.
Wow. And you look at the portal interest he had, Miami, A&M, Florida State, TCU, BYU, where I think a lot of us just assumed he was going to go. I mean, his portal interest on this list I'm looking at right here, Mike Prater, is just littered with Power 5 schools. And then you were correct. This is his official count. I wish I could put this on the screen real quick, but I'll just hold it up here. There's the graphic from Braxton Feely. I'm back. That's massive unexpected news on a Monday morning, Mike.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. According to Pete Nakos, that On3 Sports that does a nice job with the transfer portal, he had official visits to Miami and Cal. We knew about Cal last week. I did not hear about the Miami one. I always assumed that dude was going to BYU. The BYU, which is spending a ton of money right now on transfer portal kids, and him and his wife going back to the BYU area where they were from and start their family and maybe get a couple $100,000 from BYU. Braxton Feely back in the middle of Boise State's defensive line. That's the biggest news I've heard in a couple of days.
Yeah, I said after many conversations with those closest to me, I've come to the conclusion that Boise State University is the place to be, and I'll be withdrawing my name from the transfer portal.
Love it.
Yeah, that's why you don't burn bridges, I guess, and nobody said anything bad, and Spencer wished him luck, and I remember a very telling press conference and things where he said, was that the currency over was that when he made the comment about
Yes. And he said Spencer Danielson publicly said, I'm disappointed in this one. He was not very upset. He was disappointed in that one, and he publicly declared that. So don't forget, guys, Spencer Danielson married Braxton Feely in the civil ceremony. I think Braxton Feely got married in the temple where he got married by church officials, but they had a civil ceremony where Spencer Danielson did the officiating, and their relationship is very, very tight and still to be. But Spencer came out and said that was a disappointing move. I think they figured it out, and Braxton Feely is back, and that's very, very cool.
All right, breaking news. I'm sure you guys will have more on that. 3:00 today, Idaho Sports Talk. Braxton Feely coming back. Big news for the football team. Big news for Ashton Genty, Ahmed Hassani, and they land NFL spots. 4 other guys to this point get free agent deals. We'll be tracking to see if anybody else latches on with a minicamp tryout or anything moving forward here. But, Mike, appreciate you. Hopefully, folks will go read your column, BroncoNationNews.com. We'll be listening 3:00 today. I'll have Mike Prater. I'll have Jay Tuss on at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And we got some other coverage on the site. Ashton Genty's fit with the Raiders, how Hassani and those guys fit in, and which of those 4 have chances to stick. Nathan Carroll took a look at some of the depth charts and things like that, so folks can go to BroncoNationNews.com and read that. But have a great rest of your Monday. We'll see you at 3:00 KTIK, and then 9:00 tomorrow. Bronco Nation News Live here at BroncoNationNews.com.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, RowPaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.